What's up, guys? I'm going to share with you 3 things that I wish that Nate today could go back and tell Nate from, I guess it was 7 years ago when I opened my gym. So these are just 3 of the many, many lessons that I've learned. But if I could specifically go back to that time and tell that Nate to make those changes or understand these things, it would have made for a much smoother, much more profitable and enjoyable ride. So this came up because I was having a conversation with a client of mine this morning with Victor, who's a successful lawyer here in Birmingham. He has his own practice, and he just made the comment like, oh man, if I could go back and if I knew then what I knew now, I would be so much farther ahead than where I am today. And we were just kind of reminiscing about the early days of our business and just some of the funny stories and funny things and the ways that we thought and the stupid things that we did and stupid things we didn't do and things like that. It was a fun conversation. It's always fun to reminisce on those days. Oop, almost dropped the phone. And then we both just said, look, though, we wouldn't go back and change it. That's where, it's during the trials and the tribulations that you grow. It's during those times that we learn. We learn to become better, to become the business owner that we are today. But these are the 3 things that if I could go back and tell myself, this is what I'd say. So the first thing that I would do is dude, you need to hire a part-time trainer. And they wouldn't have to work for you a lot. Maybe 10 hours a week, 12 hours a week. Pay them well. Find somebody good who's got experience and get you that part-time trainer. All right. I was at the gym all the time. I did all the training, and I didn't even know. I didn't even have a concept for hiring employees. I didn't even think about it. I just did everything all the time. And if I could go back and have even one night a week off, one morning a week off, so I could sleep and not, stay at the gym till 7:30 and then p.m. and then get there at 5:30 a.m. the next day. If I didn't have to do that every single day, if I could have one morning where I could sleep, one night where I could go home early, and maybe take the occasional or even every Saturday off, I would have just, I never burnt out, but I feel like I came close. And it's fun to reminisce on those days and how hard I worked, but I would never want to go back. And if I could go back and once we got to a decent level of profitability, which we did fairly soon, I would definitely say, dude, you need to hire a part-time trainer. All right, the second thing that I would say is, it's not so much. This is what I would say. This is off the cuff, by the way, which is why I'm a little slow to think about this. I would say, look, these are the things that you need to focus on as far as acquiring customers and as far as keeping customers. And these are the things you don't need to do. So I did a really good job training. I was a good trainer from the beginning. And of course, I've gotten better over time, but I was a really good trainer when I started. But what I wasn't good at was the business side of things. I was still learning the business side of things. And so one of the things that I did was I spent so much time because I didn't know what worked. I spent so much time trying so many different things. I was hopping from one thing to another. I just filled my days with this frantic pace of work, and it wasn't always necessarily productive. And I do think in business, there's always value in experimenting and trying something new, but it's also important, I would say it's more important, that 80+% of the time, you're consistently executing on the things that you know work. Now, I was still figuring that out at the time, but if I could go back, I would say, look, go back, make one piece of content every day, whether it's just a small post, small video from what's going on at the gym that day, and then once a week, make a blog post. If I had been blogging once a week, making a long form video once a week, with a short daily post the other 6 days, if I had done that consistently since the beginning, we would have grown a lot bigger, a lot faster, and have been able to serve a lot more people. And it would have taken way less time than all the insanity that I was trying to get done in a week. The last thing that I would say is I would just tell myself, look, man, there are ebbs and flows to this business. A business is like a garden. You need to plant seeds, you need to water, you need to pull weeds out, get fertilizer, whatever. I don't know how to garden, but it's something like a garden. It's a living, breathing thing, and it's not a robot to be controlled or programmed. So you just need to focus on doing the things that you can do. So I kind of had this hustle and grind mentality. I'm going to do anything and everything that needs to get done, and I think that was valuable in the beginning, but I also think it's a great way to burn out. It's not a good plan long term. I will say it's better than being lazy probably, but I don't know how much better, because I think you can end up creating more problems by working at that frantic pace, by operating out of fear instead of just calmly executing on the things you need to do. So one of our core values is faith, and part of that is faith in God and believing that He's got everybody who's here at Steel. He's got us all here for a reason. Nothing is by accident. There's a plan for Steel and for everybody here. But it's also on our end being faithful with what's in front of us. So it's not hustling and grinding and going crazy and just crushing ourselves with so much work. It's not being lazy either, but it's being intentional. It's being focused. It's interesting. I looked up the word diligent. The Bible talks a lot about, in Proverbs, about being diligent. And one of the things, there was this concept of just kind of being decisive, being intentional, being focused. It's hard work, but it's not just crazy hard work. You know, there are a lot of people who work really, really hard. In fact, I think there are way more people who work super hard than who are lazy, but I don't necessarily think they're intentional and decisive. And I would say I fell into that category early on. I worked really hard, which is a good thing and has redeeming value, but I was not decisive and intentional. And that's what I would say is, like, just be faithful to do the things that you need to do. And then going back to the garden analogy, like, sometimes you're going to do everything right and you're going to get a pretty good return. Sometimes you're going to do everything right and you're going to get like a crazy, like, it's going to be like you're going to see way more success than the work you put in. And sometimes you're going to do everything right and it's all going to fall to pieces and you're going to have a terrible month. You're going to have a terrible quarter. And so I would tell young Nate, focus on what you need to focus on, do what you need to do, and then ride the wave. Let it happen, enjoy the experience, let it unfold, trust that God's got a plan for you, and just wake up the next day, whether you made a lot of profit last month, whether you made a little profit last month, whether you made no profit last month, just focus, wake up the next day, and do it again. Because if you do all the right things for long enough, and not just in your business, but if you do that in your life, and you keep doing it, there's no guarantee that you're going to have success, but odds are you probably will, and you're dang sure more likely to be successful than if you don't focus on doing the work. Don't get so caught up on the result, focus on doing the work, and you'll be all right. Those are the 3 things that I'll go back and tell myself. So if you have a business and you're in the early days, maybe that would help you out. Maybe you can apply some of these to your life, to your business. Number 1, get some help. Hire a part-time trainer, get some sleep, get some rest, create some more margin. The second thing that I would say, and I can't remember what I said, I'm going to my third point, second thing, focus on creating content. 1 long form piece of content every week, both a blog and a video. It can be the same topic, and then short posts every day. And then the third thing is just focus on being faithful with what's in front of you. Do the work that is required and don't stress about the result. Just keep doing the work. Don't rest when things are good, and don't freak out when times are bad. Just keep doing what you need to do. Stay consistent in the face of the blessings and the storms, and you'll be all right.